Okay, let's unpack this. We all know the internet is this incredible, almost miraculous force, right?
Absolute.
Capable of connecting us instantly across continents, putting, well, pretty much the sum of human knowledge at our fingertips.
It's staggering when you think about it.
It is. It's a tool that has profoundly reshaped our world. But what if, beneath that gleaming surface, one of its most powerful engines,
Mm-hmm.
a force quietly shaping private consciousness on a global scale?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's also subtly making us more disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
more anxious, even causing, real problems for our fundamental well-being? It's a provocative thought, isn't it?
It really is.
That something so integral to our modern lives could have such a hidden, less than positive impact.
It absolutely is. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how something so pervasive, so deeply woven into the fabric of our daily existence, can remain largely invisible.
Invisible.
Yeah, in terms of its profound personal consequences,
Yeah.
it's almost a silent phenomenon, even as it dramatically impacts individuals and society.
Right.
Yet its effects are often discussed only in hushed tones, if at all. This is a force that has reshaped our digital landscape, and yet the personal cost, it's rarely brought into the open.
You've highlighted how this invisible force shapes private consciousness. So for our deep dive today, we're really going to pull back the curtain on this.
Okay.
We're drawing from Gary Wilson's groundbreaking work, Your Brain on Porn, Internet Pornography and the Emerging Science of Addiction, which has a really powerful foreword by Anthony Jack.
A very important book in this field.
Definitely. Our mission here is to extract the most important insights from both the scientific evidence and, crucially, compelling human experiences.
Right, the real-world stories.
Exactly. We want to understand why internet pornography can have a qualitatively and quantitatively different effect than, say, traditional pornography from the past.
Mm-hmm.
The key difference.
And crucially, what can be done if you or someone you know is struggling? And just to be clear, this isn't about morality, it's not about judgment.
No, not at all. It's about brain science, human evolution, and ultimately well-being.
That's precisely it.
Hmm.
And what's really crucial to consider here is how our ancient brain structures,
Yeah.
these things were finely tuned by millennia of evolution to navigate a very different world.
Right, like caveman brains in a digital age.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
How do they respond to this radically new environment of, and I'm quoting the source here, chronic overconsumption of sexual novelty delivered on demand in endless supply?
Wow, that phrase really captures it.
It does. It's a profound mismatch in many ways between our fundamental human biology and the unprecedented power of our modern technology. We're basically witnessing an experiment playing out in real time on a global scale.
Okay, let's start with that digital shift. We often hear concerns about the internet making us socially disconnected, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a common theme.
Think about the common observation, having hundreds, even thousands of Facebook friends or Instagram followers, but maybe fewer deep face-to-face interactions.
Yeah, the superficial connection versus the deep one.
Right. And research has consistently shown that this kind of online-heavy, often superficial connection can negatively affect our genuine sense of well-being. It can foster feelings of isolation rather than true belonging.
That paradox, being connected yet feeling alone.
Exactly. But our sources point to one specific example where this withdrawal from ordinary, messy human interaction becomes incredibly stark.
Okay.
And that's with the pervasive availability of internet pornography.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, human evolution,
Mm.
sexual desire was powerfully shaped as a core motivational force.
For survival, basically.
Primarily for reproduction. Yeah. And also for the crucial process of pair bonding, building stable relationships.
Right.
In healthy human relationships, sex is intrinsically associated with the highest levels of intimacy, trust, vulnerability. It can be the culmination of our deepest human connections.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah, essential for building families, fostering human flourishing. But the way internet pornography presents this ancient drive, it transforms it entirely. It shifts that powerful, evolutionarily wired motivation into a drive for, quoting again, completely solitary and unproductive activity, like masturbation, often devoid of genuine connection.
So it takes something meant for connection and makes it isolating?
Precisely. It represents a profound, almost paradoxical departure from its biological purpose.
And it's important to acknowledge, like you said, pornography itself isn't new. It has a history stretching back.
Way back.
Yeah, before civilization, we're talking rudimentary images on cave walls. So the phenomenon of sexual imagery is ancient. But its internet era version, what we're discussing today, brings an unprecedented level of social disconnection and sheer pervasiveness.
That's the key difference, access and scale.
Right. And there's a striking irony here. Pornography has arguably been the single most influential economic engine, fueling the expansion of the internet and internet commerce globally.
It's something most people don't realize or perhaps don't want to think about.
Yeah. Think of the bandwidth, the server farms, the payment systems. A lot of that infrastructure was scaled up specifically to meet the demand for online porn.
Which is now accessed in massive quantities on computers and smartphones all over the world.
So this private, often silent influence is indeed shaping private consciousness across cultures and demographics.
Indeed. The internet revolution fundamentally changed the landscape of access. Young people today, they don't need to physically purchase pornographic content from adult stores or, discreetly get it from friends or hide magazines under the bed.
It's just there.
It's just there. The current cultural environment provides massive, virtually limitless amounts of varied content that can be accessed for free, instantly, and in complete privacy.
And consider this statistic, or rather this observation from the source. Anyone with a high-speed internet connection can, if they choose, access more sexually arousing content in a few hours
Just a few hours.
than the most obsessive and wealthy collector of physical pornography from a few decades ago could have amassed in an entire lifetime.
That scale is just mind-boggling.
It really is. This scale of access, this unfettered, private, unlimited supply, it's truly unprecedented in human history.
Absolutely.
And what's truly remarkable, as our sources point out, is how this invisible problem began to surface. It wasn't through scientific studies initially, was it?
No, not really. It was grassroots. It came from online communities, specifically around 2008, 2009.
Like where?
People started surfacing on online forums, notably Reddit's NoFap community. They began connecting their various, often bewildering personal problems with their porn use.
And they thought they were alone.
Completely. They initially believed they were entirely alone, grappling with these unique, private struggles.
The source shares an anecdote about that, right?
Yeah, a user recounted how many men were, quote, freaked out that they had erectile dysfunction, but at the same time they could get a solid erection to varying degrees of extreme porn with the help of some good old death grip masturbation.
That contrast must have been confusing.
Extremely. But the weird and profoundly reassuring thing for them was thousands of people responded saying they had the exact same deeply isolating symptoms.
Wow. So that collective realization.
It sparked a global conversation, really.
Yeah.
These early self-reports were absolutely critical in identifying a pattern.
What kind of patterns emerged?
Individuals realized that they had, in essence, desensitized themselves to real women, to the nuances of real-world intimacy, by escalating to ever more extreme genres of porn.
So the real thing couldn't compete.
Exactly. No real-world stimulation they discovered could match the hyperstimulus they were consuming online. They were experiencing this bewildering range of symptoms.
Like what specifically?
Well, erectile dysfunction, or ED, or delayed ejaculation, DE, with real partners, which over time could even extend to porn itself.
Even porn stopped working.
For some, yes. Many reported a disturbing loss of attraction to real partners, finding real women, quote, alien or less compelling.
That sounds awful.
And an undeniable drive for escalation to ever more extreme genres of porn and developing alarming new sexual tastes.
And it wasn't just sexual symptoms.
No, not at all. Beyond the sexual realm, social anxiety and depression were common. Individuals reporting feeling like hermits, experiencing a profound, almost debilitating loss of confidence.
So it wasn't just sexual function or social interaction, but broader cognitive and emotional struggles too.
Definitely. Users also reported low energy, brain fog, and a troubling inability to concentrate.
Which must make everyday life incredibly difficult.
Hugely. And this is where the problem often compounds, because these diverse symptoms frequently led many users down a path of misdiagnosis.
So.
Well, psychiatrists were diagnosing severe social anxiety, clinical depression, or even in some cases premature dementia, and prescribing powerful drugs.
Without connecting it to the porn use.
Often, yes. Meanwhile, general practitioners and even urologists often assured them that porn use was normal or harmless. Or they'd prescribe ED drugs like Viagra and Cialis.
Just treating the symptom, not the cause.
Exactly. Or in some extreme cases, even suggesting penile implants, all without ever once considering internet porn as the potential root cause.
That's shocking.
It is. One user powerfully shared a sentiment echoed by many. The central thing, destroying my confidence and making me feel alone on the planet of 7 billion, was being reversed, and it turned out to be very common.
So finding that community, realizing it wasn't just them, was huge.
Immense. What's truly insightful here, beyond the individual symptoms, is how these diverse issues seem to converge on a core problem. A profound and often baffling disconnection
Disconnection from what?
from real-world intimacy, from social comfort, even from one's own sense of self. It's not just a collection of isolated problems. It seems to be a fundamental shift in how the brain processes reward and connection.
And there was a demographic pattern, too, wasn't there, with the early reporters?
Yes, that's also notable. They were often computer programmers, IT specialists, or early tech adopters, sort of the first wave to truly immerse themselves in high-speed internet porn. They were typically in their late 20s or older when these issues began to manifest. This was before younger generations, who grew up with ubiquitous internet access from the start, also started experiencing these profound problems.
And this idea of tube sites, how does that fit in?
Ah, yes. The phenomenon of tube sites, as they were called, vividly illustrates this consumption pattern. You go, quote, straight for 0 to 140 kbh, just constant clicking, searching for ever new novelty.
Always chasing the next hit.
Precisely. As one user described it, the internal dialogue was always, need more, the brain always says, such a lie. This constant on-demand novelty, this relentless pursuit of the next hit of stimulation, is a key defining factor in these reported changes and the brain's subsequent rewiring.
Okay, that brings us to the core mechanism here,
Right.
dopamine. We hear so much about it being the pleasure chemical, but our sources really challenge that simplistic view, don't they?
They do, and it's a critical point. It really reshapes how we view motivation and addiction. Dopamine isn't primarily about pleasure itself.
No. What is then?
That's actually the domain of opioid chemicals in the brain. Dopamine is, in fact, the engine of wanting.
Wanting.
Yeah, it's the molecule that drives our motivation to pursue rewards, to seek and search for them. Dopamine levels surge dramatically with anticipation, compelling us towards behaviors crucial for survival and gene transmission.
Like finding food or a mate.
Exactly. Seeking food, finding a mate, building social connections, exploring new territory. It's the go-getter chemical, you could say, not the feel-good chemical.
So if dopamine is about wanting, then addiction, as our source puts it, can be thought of as wanting run amok. Is that fair?
That's a very good way to summarize it, yes.
Yeah.
Its system gone into overdrive, constantly pushing for more.
And here's the kicker, apparently. The dopamine system is actually neurologically stronger than the opioid system.
That's right, which means we are biologically wired to seek more than we are to be satisfied. It's a survival mechanism, really. Keep seeking resources.
But it can backfire in the modern world.
Massively. And when it comes to natural rewards, sexual stimulation and orgasm provide the biggest, most potent blast of dopamine available to our reward circuitry.
The biggest natural high.
Essentially, yes. This immense surge effectively tells our brain, pay attention, this is valuable, this is important, remember this. And it actively helps to rewire our neural pathways based on that signal.
Okay, so dopamine signals importance, drives wanting. What about novelty? The source talks about the Coolidge effect.
Ah, yes, the Coolidge effect. It compounds this inherent drive for wanting. The term originates from a rather graphic example.
A rat study.
That's the one. Imagine a male rat who is mated to exhaustion with a particular female. He's completely uninterested, physically spent.
Yeah.
But introduce a new female, and he's immediately revived, ready to mate again. It demonstrates the power of novelty in reigniting sexual motivation.
But humans are more complex, right? We form bonds.
Absolutely. Human mating behavior is far more complex. We have the capacity for love, long-term bonds, commitment. We're part of that peculiar 3 to 5% of mammals with a propensity for pair bonding.
But we're still susceptible.
We are still fundamentally susceptible to the powerful lure of sexual novelty. What's truly fascinating and relevant here is how this ancient evolutionarily wired response to the new for survival is being hyperstimulated and exploited by the internet. Our brains are designed to seek variety, to explore, But in today's digital environment, that primal drive can be overwhelmingly hijacked.
Hijacked. That leads us to this crucial concept, internet porn as a supernormal stimulus. Can you explain that?
Sure, supernormal stimuli are basically exaggerated versions of normal stimuli that our brains falsely perceive as more valuable, more desirable, or more potent than the real thing.
Like the example of the beetle in the beer bottle.
Exactly, the classic example. The male jewel beetle who will completely ignore real, fertile mates for the dimpled brown bottom of a discarded beer bottle.
Why would it do that?
Because the bottle, to his primitive little brain, registers as the biggest, most beautiful, sexiest female he has ever seen. It exaggerates the features he's programmed to find attractive.
Okay, I see the parallel. So how does internet porn fit this definition?
Perfectly, according to the source. It presents an exaggerated reality. It registers as especially valuable due to its intense novelty and visual stimulation. It's conveniently available in limitless supply. You never run out.
Endless variety.
Exactly. It comes in an unimaginable variety of genres and scenarios, offering abundant, instant novelty. And all of this inevitably leads to chronic overconsumption.
The source uses a junk food analogy too, right?
Yes, and it resonates strongly. Compare internet porn consumption to junk food.
Blah.
You can slam down a 32-ounce sugary soft drink and a massive bag of salty, fatty nibbles without much thought or effort.
Quick hit, low effort.
Right. You feel a temporary rush, but little true nourishment. Now, just try to consume their caloric equivalent in, say, dried venison and boiled roots.
Haha, yeah, much harder work.
It's physically arduous, far less immediately palatable, and ultimately more satiating.
But what makes porn different, riskier maybe, than junk food in this analogy?
Several things. First, there are virtually no physical limits on consumption, other than needing sleep or bathroom breaks.
Unlike food, where you get full.
Right. And users can engage in edging prolonged masturbation without climaxing for hours on end. This keeps dopamine elevated for abnormally long periods.
Edging sounds particularly problematic.
It is. It maintains intense arousal without triggering the natural breaks of satiation or aversion you'd get in real-world encounters. And crucially, this often starts when users are young, like puberty.
When the brain is most adaptable.
Exactly. Their brains are at their peak of plasticity, making them most vulnerable to addiction and profound rewiring by these supernormal stimuli.
This is where the concept of brain plasticity really becomes important for you, the listener, to understand. Because it's not just theoretical, it's actively shaping your reality.
Absolutely. Norman Doidge, a renowned psychiatrist, explains it beautifully with the adage, neurons that fire together wire together.
So these pornographic training sessions, as the source calls them, they're not passive.
Not at all. Your brain is actively changing how you experience attraction, how you derive pleasure, how you perceive sex in the real world. Each time there's sexual excitement and orgasm during porn consumption, a spritz of dopamine is released. Think of it like neurological superglue, consolidating and solidifying these specific neural connections.
And it's competitive. Like, these new pathways push out old ones.
That's right. Brain plasticity is competitive. The brain has finite real estate. So the neural maps for these new, exciting, hyper-stimulating images increase and strengthen at the expense of what previously attracted you.
Like a real partner.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
The subtle cues of a real partner might lose their power. And this is largely unconscious learning. Your brain is effectively being taught, this is what turns me on.
Instead of learning this is how people connect and have sex.
Precisely. Over time, external cues, seeing a computer screen, hearing a specific sound, even a pop-up notification, can trigger significant dopamine spikes, even without actual sexual content.
Because those cues got wired in.
Deeply wired into the reward system.
Yes. Okay, so this active rewiring leads to this paradox the source talks about. Desensitization and sensitization. They sound opposite.
They do, but they happen together, and it's a baffling core of addiction. Let's take desensitization first. This means a numbed pleasure response.
Things just don't feel as good anymore.
Exactly. The brain, constantly bombarded by hyperstimulation, responds by basically turning down the volume. It downregulates its dopamine receptors.
Protect itself.
In a way. But this reduced dopamine signaling leaves the individual less sensitive to everyday pleasures and needing ever greater stimulation to achieve the same buzz.
That's tolerance, right?
That's classic tolerance. And this directly correlates with physical changes, like observations of reduced gray matter volume in reward circuitry.
Reduced gray matter. Seriously?
Yes. Shown in significant studies like the one in JAMA Psychiatry back in 2014, even in moderate users. If these neuroplastic changes could speak, desensitization would be moaning, "I can't get no satisfaction. Everything feels dull."
Wow, okay, so that's desensitization. What about the flip side, sensitization? That sounds like becoming more sensitive.
It is, but in a very specific, unhelpful way. Sensitization refers to the development of an unconscious, almost indelible supermemory of pleasure, or rather, the anticipation of pleasure.
So the pleasure goes down, but the craving goes up.
Exactly. While the liking diminishes desensitization, the wanting or craving for that initial intense rush intensifies dramatically. Rewired nerve connections cause the reward circuit to buzz with overwhelming intensity in response to addiction-related cues or even just thoughts.
Making it harder and harder to resist.
Extremely hard.
Yeah.
This powerful, almost unbearable craving makes the addictive behavior more compelling, more central than virtually any other activity in an addict's life. We see this hyperreactivity to porn cues in studies, like the Cambridge study.
What did that show?
The reward centers of individuals with problematic porn use showed significantly increased activity when exposed to hardcore video clips compared to non-addicted controls. Their brains were literally lighting up more intensely in response to those cues.
So putting it together.
If desensitization is groaning, "I can't get no satisfaction," sensitization is relentlessly poking you in the ribs, saying, "Hey, I've got just what you need."
Which is the very thing that caused the problem in the first place.
Precisely. It's a vicious cycle. And these intricate, seemingly contradictory processes are profoundly rooted in the accumulation of a specific protein called delta FOSB.
Okay, delta FOSB, that sounds like a critical piece of this puzzle. Can you break that down for us a little more? How does this molecular switch actually work?
Absolutely. It's a crucial mechanism. Think of delta FOSB as a persistent transcription factor.
Transcription factor. Okay, so it affects genes.
Exactly. When you repeatedly engage in a highly rewarding, especially hyperstimulating activity like consuming internet porn, delta FOSB starts to build up inside specific neurons in the brain's reward circuitry areas, like the nucleus accumbens.
Okay, it builds up. Is it like other chemicals that fade quickly?
That's the key difference. Unlike many other proteins that come and go relatively quickly, delta FOSB is remarkably stable. It sticks around.
Sticks around? How long?
Sometimes for weeks or even months, long after the immediate high or the activity has stopped.
Weeks or months.
Yeah. And this long-lasting presence then literally changes the expression of other genes within those neurons. It's not just a temporary chemical signal, it's structural and functional remodeling.
So it physically changes the neurons.
It physically and chemically alters how these neurons function. They become more sensitive and reactive to cues associated with the addictive behavior.
Making craving stronger.
Right. And simultaneously, they become less sensitive to natural, everyday rewards.
Making normal life feel duller.
Exactly. It's like your brain is building a superhighway directly to that addictive behavior, making it the path of least resistance, while the old, slower roads to natural pleasures and everyday motivations start to crumble from disuse.
So it's like the architect of the addiction pathway.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
This is why when you hear nerve cells that fire together, wire together, you should also think delta FOSB. It's the molecular architect behind that long-term wiring.
Okay, so if this is happening, you might be thinking, why haven't I heard more about this if it's such a pervasive issue? Our sources suggest it's because this phenomenon, like many things related to human sexuality, is often deeply personal, shame-laden.
Kept hidden?
Yeah, kept hidden. Individuals who struggle often feel too anxious, ashamed, confused, and angry to speak about it publicly, even with close friends or medical professionals.
It's incredibly isolating.
It is. But silence, as we know, allows problems to fester, sometimes leading to tragic outcomes. Disturbingly, Oxford University research has explicitly linked moderate or severe internet addiction to an increased risk for self-harm.
That's terrifying.
And even suicidal ideation. One brave individual in the source material confessed he had even started thinking about planning my own Columbine-style exit to this world during the depths of his depression and anxiety.
Oh my God.
Before, thankfully, realizing the connection to his chronic porn use and finding a path out, the cost of this silence is incredibly high.
It really is. The challenge of recognition is profound. When you have thousands of people from diverse backgrounds, cultures, age groups, independently reporting such strikingly similar symptoms and experiences after chronic internet porn use.
It points to something real.
It points not to individual anomalies, but to a real, widespread, and pressing phenomenon. Yet it remains largely invisible and alarmingly undetected by broader society. and often by the very institutions meant to help.
Ignored or dismissed.
Often ignored, dismissed, or even actively denied. Yes.
And this leads directly to a significant and deeply troubling problem: rampant misdiagnosis within the medical community.
This is a huge issue highlighted in the book.
Yeah. Symptoms that are, in fact, indicative of problematic internet porn use, like ED, social anxiety, concentration problems, depression, are routinely misdiagnosed as other unrelated disorders.
Because the doctors aren't asking the right questions, or maybe don't even know to ask.
Right. Our sources share several powerful anecdotes. One man, for instance, diagnosed with severe social anxiety disorder and clinical depression, offered antidepressants.
Standard procedure often.
But he found a complete and profound reversal of his symptoms simply by quitting porn. He realized, again quoting him, "The central thing destroying my confidence was being reversed," and it turned out to be very common.
That pattern of misdiagnosis is just pervasive. What's truly concerning here is the systemic lag.
The system hasn't caught up.
Exactly. How many individuals are receiving outdated, incomplete, or even actively harmful information or treatments they don't need, simply because the medical profession, by and large, is playing catch-up with this relatively new phenomenon?
You hear stories about this.
Countless reports documented by our sources. Medical professionals assuring individuals their porn use is perfectly normal or harmless. Prescribing powerful ED drugs like Viagra, Cialis,
Or even worse.
or, in the most extreme and heartbreaking cases, even suggesting invasive procedures like penile implants, all without once considering internet porn as the root cause.
That's tragic.
It really is. One man tragically spent thousands on doctors' test pills, only to be repeatedly told his ED was all in his head, never once being asked about his online porn consumption habits. The medical community is often operating with an outdated playbook.
And it seems the sex-positive movement, while well-intentioned in many ways, can sometimes complicate this.
It can play a complex role, yeah. Sometimes it denies or even ridicules the notion of porn-induced ED or addiction,
How?
often by labeling criticisms as coming solely from conservative or religious organizations. This framing can make it easy for liberally minded individuals, or those just wanting to be open-minded, to dismiss these concerns out of hand without proper scientific examination.
But the source argues it's not about those labels.
Exactly. It's not about being sex negative. It's about the objective nature of our brains, our ancient reward circuitry, and how they respond to cues from this radically changed, hyper-stimulating digital environment. It doesn't matter what your politics are, the brain responds biologically.
And there's a difference between older and younger men's experiences.
Yes, a stark and crucial difference. Older individuals, in many cases, had a long foundation of healthy sex before porn became so ubiquitous.
So their brains were wired differently initially.
Their real sex brain pathways were likely well established and robust. While these pathways might be temporarily overwhelmed or suppressed by chronic internet porn use, they are often still operational and able to recover once the porn is removed.
But for young people,
It can be different. Young people, especially adolescents whose brains are in a critical phase of development and highly plastic, may wire their sexuality to internet porn from an early age.
making them more vulnerable.
Particularly vulnerable, yes, to developing these issues and potentially experiencing more profound, longer-lasting rewiring. Studies, in fact, reveal that problems in sexual functioning are curiously higher in adolescent males than in adult males.
Higher in teens. That seems counterintuitive.
It does, but over 53% of male teens in some studies reported symptoms indicative of a sexual problem like ED or low desire. This points to a potential silent crisis among the younger generation whose development is being shaped by this unprecedented access.
So, okay, the science is catching up, but it's slow. What do people do now if they suspect a problem?
Well, while academic scientists are diligently working to build that definitive consensus, which, as you say, is often painstakingly slow, our sources make a powerful and incredibly pragmatic point.
Which is?
You don't necessarily need to wait for experts to reach full agreement before taking action if you suspect a problem.
It's not like trying some untested drug.
Exactly. This isn't engaging in an untested medical procedure or taking a risky pharmaceutical. This is about removing a form of entertainment and stimulation that, until very recently, no one had, and humanity got along perfectly well without for millennia.
So look at the anecdotal evidence, too.
The massive informal experiment currently unfolding on online forums like YBOP provides crucial real-time self-reported evidence. What shifts when users deliberately choose to remove porn from their lives?
These personal accounts matter.
They matter hugely.
Hmm.
And they're coupled with early but significant studies like that 2014 JAMA Psychiatry research on reduced gray matter and decreased sexual responsiveness even in moderate users, and the Cambridge study on hyperreactivity in problematic users.
So the message is, don't necessarily wait.
The message underscores the urgency and validity of taking personal action now if you feel something is wrong. Waiting for every last peer-reviewed paper might be waiting too long when personal well-being is at stake.
It's a pragmatic and empowering approach.
It is. The consistent patterns observed in human experience across diverse demographics, combined with what we already know from neuroscience about addiction, brain plasticity, supernormal stimuli. It offers a strong basis for individuals to take immediate self-directed action.
Okay, so if you are experiencing these issues, or suspect you might be, there's truly a profound gift waiting for you on the other side of this journey.
What's that?
Regaining fundamental control of your life. One Harvard user put it beautifully, and this really sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
He said, quitting will give you more control of your own life. It's a little bit like the transition from adolescence to adulthood. Instead of acting on impulse, you'll be learning self-restraint and mindfulness with one of your most primal instincts,
That's powerful.
which will flow over into every part of your life and make your life's decisions be entirely up to you. This user described going from wasting days in a hazy indulgence to handling demanding work weeks, exercising, having a more authentic relationship.
It's about reclaiming agency, real agency.
Exactly. So, the first and perhaps most crucial step toward this is what the source calls the reboot strategy. What is that?
It involves consciously giving your brain a complete rest from all artificial sexual stimulation for several months.
All of it, not just cutting back.
All of it, ideally. To visualize what's happening, think of the table leg analogy the source offers.
Okay, the table leg analogy.
Imagine your brain's reward system is like a table, and chronic porn use has effectively propped up one of its legs, making it seem stable, but artificially so.
Got it.
Now, when you remove that leg, when you eliminate the source of artificial, hyperstimulating sexual input, the table is initially unstable. It wobbles.
Makes sense.
Your brain, used to that specific support, will first try to make you hurt. It creates those intense cravings, irritability, discomfort, essentially encouraging you to put the table leg back.
Trying to restore the old balance.
Right, it's a survival mechanism gone awry. But the crucial insight is, if you persist through this period of discomfort, after a while, the brain will learn to rebalance without it.
Option 2, as the book says.
Exactly. It finds new ways to stabilize itself, restoring a more natural equilibrium. But this is an individualized process. There's no magic bullet. Your reboot is your laboratory.
So you have to experiment and be patient.
Consistency and patience are absolutely key. It might take a couple months just to see if an approach is working.
Okay, let's get into some practical tips and tools for implementing this reboot. Starting with a digital detox.
Yes, that's fundamental. A comprehensive digital detox.
Meaning?
Ruthlessly deleting all porn from all your devices, including hidden folders, cloud backups, scrubbing your browser history clean, everything.
Why so drastic?
It's about sending an ironclad, unmistakable signal to your brain that things are different now, that this pathway is closed. It's not just removing access, it's dismantling the cues.
The source mentions heirloom porn.
Yeah. One guy had what he called heirloom porn, carefully curated digital content. He burned it to a disk, sealed it away.
And eventually,
Triumphantly, chucked it after he recovered, recognizing it as a lingering threat.
So delete everything. What about blockers?
Using robust porn blockers is also highly recommended. Tools like Questodio, K9, or OpenDNS.
OpenDNS has a delay feature.
Yes, and the source specifically recommends utilizing its unique 3-minute delay before new settings take effect. That tiny delay, that small window of conscious thought,
Can be enough to stop you.
it can be just enough time for your rational brain to override the impulsive craving and realize you don't actually want to proceed.
Smart. And block more than just explicit sites.
Vital. Block not just explicit sexual content, but also dating sites, even seemingly innocuous blog categories like Tumblr, which can be sneaky sources of triggers. The goal is a truly sterile digital environment for recovery.
Makes sense. What about physical environment? Cues there too.
Environmental cues are incredibly powerful triggers for relapse, absolutely. Just like recovering drug addicts are advised to avoid specific people, places, activities associated with use.
You need to change your surroundings.
You need to reevaluate your own surroundings. You can't avoid yourself, obviously, But you can strategically move furniture around, change the layout of your room, or use your devices in less private, more exposed locations of your home.
Does that really help?
One user shared that the reorientation of my apartment has been wonderful, as I don't feel any of the same associations that I did in the past setup. It's about creating physical space that actively breaks those deeply ingrained neural associations and habits.
Interesting. What about tracking progress? Day counters, journals?
Tracking progress can be a surprisingly powerful motivator, yeah.
Hmm.
Day counters, often found on online forums, visually display your progress. That can be incredibly satisfying, particularly for men who often thrive on quantifiable achievements.
But there's a caution.
Yes, an important caution. Don't view these days as mere game points
Hmm.
or use them to rationalize binges if you happen to slip. The goal isn't just a number, it's genuine brain balance and rewiring, which takes time and varies.
And journaling.
Just as crucial is keeping a journal. This simple act allows you to track daily progress, externalize feelings, gain perspective on challenging days, recognizing recovery is rarely linear.
And online journals add support.
They offer the added benefit of peer support, helping you realize you're definitely not alone in this journey. Sharing this struggle can be incredibly validating.
Okay, so digital cleanup, environmental changes, tracking.
Mm.
What about physical and mental well-being?
Vital. Actively focusing on physical and mental well-being supports the brain's recovery immensely. Engaging in physical exercise, simple stuff like push-ups, lifting weights, can be an almost instant way to divert urges.
Gets the endorphins going.
Exactly. Gets the heart pumping, releases positive endorphins. Cold showers are also highly reviewed by many.
Cold showers? Really?
Yeah, for restoring willpower and emotional equilibrium. Some even propose them as a natural treatment for depression, citing their impact on mood and resilience.
Like a shock to the system.
Kind of. One user powerfully articulated, "My desire to escape is strong, but I resist and walk out of the shower like I'm the king of the world." It shows the psychological shift that can occur.
And getting outside. Nature.
Another fantastic yet often overlooked strategy. Researchers consistently find that spending regular time in nature, even just a walk in a city park, can significantly boost creativity, foster insight, improve problem solving,
And help the brain rewire.
and generally accelerate the brain's natural rewiring process. Our sources wisely remind us we weren't evolved to look at glowing rectangles and breathe recycled air 24/7.
Good point. Connect with the real world.
It provides a much-needed reset for our overstimulated senses and minds.
Critically important, too, is social connection, right?
Absolutely essential for long-term recovery and well-being. Humans evolved as tribal, pair-bonding primates. Our brain simply cannot easily regulate mood and emotions in isolation for extended periods.
Connection reduces stress.
Genuine human connection actively reduces stress hormones like cortisol and boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone.
And strategies for reconnecting don't have to be huge.
No, not at all. Simply smiling at strangers, making eye contact, joining clubs, volunteering, networking, attending structured groups like Toastmasters. It all makes a difference.
And this helps with the symptoms.
Many of the most debilitating symptoms of porn overconsumption, social anxiety, depression, loss of motivation, are dramatically alleviated when people begin to actively reconnect with others and rebuild their social support networks. Our brains are fundamentally wired for connection.
Okay, what about things like meditation or hobbies?
Meditation and other relaxation techniques also offer significant benefits. Daily meditation, even short periods, can soothe the intense stress and anxiety of withdrawal.
And strengthen the rational brain.
Crucially, yes, it strengthens the rational frontal lobes, the executive control centers that addiction weakens. Meditation helps quiet the more primitive, impulsive parts of the brain driving addictive behaviors.
Makes sense.
One user noted that when he meditated consistently, the part of his brain that knew to leave porn behind had much more influence, allowing more conscious, healthier choices.
And hobbies. Filling the time.
Yes, actively engaging in creative pursuits, hobbies, or passionately pursuing a life purpose can powerfully fill the time previously occupied by porn.
Providing real satisfaction.
Providing lasting satisfaction, not those empty, transient dopamine highs. Think cooking, yoga, learning guitar, gardening, anything, providing genuine connection, mastery, or moving you toward meaningful objectives.
Okay, let's talk about navigating some of the common yet often surprising challenges during this reboot period. Withdrawal symptoms are real.
Very real, and they can be intense. Common ones include irritability, pervasive anxiety, deep depression, traumatic mood swings, lethargy, headaches, debilitating brain fog, and of course, intense cravings.
Anything less common.
Less common, but still reported. muscle aches, nausea, even hot flashes.
Wow. One person described their body feeling useless.
Yeah. My poor little man was a permanently flaccid, useless addition to my body that simply didn't want or fancy real female attention. It can be that profound.
A source says withdrawals are why people fail.
As our sources explain, withdrawals suck. We don't talk enough about them. They are why we fail. They are our brain's reward center, begging us, threatening us, punishing us, pleading with us, rationalizing with us why we need to use porn.
So recognizing them as temporary is key.
Recognizing them as temporary neurological phenomena rather than personal failings is absolutely crucial.
And then there's the flat line. That sounds scary.
It can be incredibly distressing, yes. The flat line is a period of profoundly reduced or zero libido, a complete absence of spontaneous erections, feeling castrated or permanently broken.
And people panic.
Many tragically mistake this for permanent impotence and, in their panic, rush back to porn, undoing all their progress.
But it's not permanent.
No, it's actually the brain and body entering a kind of sleep mode or recovery phase, shutting down the overstimulated reward system to heal.
So it passes.
It does pass, but for some it can take months, which requires immense patience and faith in the process. One theory suggests it happens because when you become exhausted, your brain and body enters sleep mode in order to recover so it can react to stimulation again.
Okay, good to know. What about triggers?
Triggers are a major hurdle. These could be external factors, TV shows, ads, pop-ups, specific websites.
Or internal states?
Yes, internal states of mind like intense boredom, anxiety, stress, profound loneliness, physical fatigue, or, ironically, even overconfidence after a period of abstinence.
Procrastination leads to...
There's a common pattern. Procrastination often morphs into procrastination.
So what's the strategy?
It's essential to meticulously identify your personal triggers and develop a predetermined, conscious response, a face and replace strategy.
Face and replace.
Acknowledge the trigger, then immediately replace the thought or situation with a pre-planned healthy activity. The key is to distract yourself for about 10 minutes, as urges typically peak, and then subside within that time frame.
Like the guy whose parents leaving was a trigger.
Exactly. He realized that pattern, and now, instead of defaulting to old habits, he immediately goes for a walk or calls a friend. This actively helps create new, healthier pathways.
And emotions, they get more intense.
You'll often find you begin to feel emotions more intensely than before, which can be incredibly overwhelming, particularly if you've been numbing yourself for years.
Like feeling things for the first time.
As one rebooter noted, you will encounter emotions you haven't felt for years, maybe never. Our sources highlight a fundamental truth. You can't selectively numb an emotion without dulling every other emotion.
So numbing the bad numbs the good too.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Even though addictive behaviors might dull the sting of vulnerability, loneliness, sadness, disappointment, and fear, they also dull the positive range of emotions like happiness, hope, joy, and love.
So feeling more might be painful, but it's progress.
While this heightened emotional experience can be painful initially, it's also the essential suffering you learn from to grow. It's a sign your emotional range is returning.
Okay, what's the chaser effect?
The chaser effect is another important, often unexpected challenge. This refers to increased horniness or intense urges that can occur after any sexual activity.
Even healthy sex with a partner.
Yes, even healthy intimacy with a real partner, which then, paradoxically, risks relapse into porn use.
Why does that happen?
Because orgasm, while providing brief satiation, also primes the brain, making you more aroused and susceptible to novelty for some time afterward.
So what can you do during reboot?
If you have a partner, it's sometimes suggested that gentle lovemaking without orgasm might be an alternative. Allows for intimacy and connection while giving the brain time to rest and avoid that heightened post-orgasm craving.
Like the husband chasing his wife.
Haha. Yeah, the anecdote about the husband chasing his wife into the bedroom to demonstrate he only chased her now, highlighting the conscious effort to redirect that awakened desire.
Okay. Disturbing dreams, flashbacks, are those normal?
Experiencing disturbing dreams and flashbacks is also a normal part of the brain's mental house cleaning during recovery. People often report recalling dreams much more vividly after quitting.
Some pleasant, some not.
Exactly. Some are pleasant. Others can be overtly pornographic or deeply distressing. Flashbacks, suddenly seeing random people naked or unwanted images of past porn, can be unsettling, cause panic even.
How should you handle them?
The best approach, sources advise, is to treat them like dreams. Acknowledge them, understand they're part of the brain's processing, and then simply let them pass without assigning undue meaning or fear.
But it can trigger OCD sometimes.
Yes, for those with pre-existing OCD tendencies, this mental house cleaning might trigger sexual orientation obsessive-compulsive disorder, SOCD, or homosexual OCD, HOCD, where individuals become obsessively fixated on doubts about their sexual identity.
What then?
In such cases, seeking professional help from someone who understands and specializes in OCD is crucial.
Shame. That plays a big role too, doesn't it?
Shame can significantly complicate recovery. For some, parental, spousal, or religious shaming linked to past or present porn use can create a deeply ingrained shame-binge-shame cycle.
How does that cycle work?
It's particularly insidious because, for some, forbidden activities can become unnaturally arousing due to the novelty or perceived risk, leading to dopamine spikes that reinforce the very behavior causing the shame.
And edging. You mentioned that before.
A specific practice needing highlighting again is edging, prolonged masturbation without climax. Our sources call it the worst thing you can do, bar none.
Why so bad?
It keeps dopamine elevated for hours, intensely rewiring the brain to desire chronic stimulation without satisfaction. It stresses the prostate and fundamentally fails to prepare the brain for the natural, reciprocal rhythms of real sex.
Okay, what about fantasy? Or things that aren't quite porn but are still stimulating?
Crucial caution regarding fantasy and porn substitutes. It's easy to rationalize looking at softcore content bikini shots on social media, certain YouTube videos thinking it's not real porn, so it's harmless.
But the primitive brain doesn't care.
Exactly. The primitive reward-seeking parts of your brain don't distinguish. If bikini shots or dancing girls get you aroused, they are problematic because they actively reinforce the old neural patterns you're trying to undo.
And fantasies.
Similarly, indulging in porn-like fantasies, especially those based on past porn scenes, can lead to powerful urges, often precede relapse, and continue to reinforce the screwed-up neural circuitry we're trying to heal. The brain often doesn't distinguish between imagery on a screen and imagery vividly created inside your mind.
Okay. What about porn-induced fetishes? Do they go away?
Porn-induced fetishes are often superficial and, encouragingly, tend to dissipate after quitting, though they can certainly cause profound distress in the interim.
But sometimes they link to that OCD issue.
As mentioned, they can sometimes contribute to SOCHOCD, causing obsessive doubts about sexual identity that weren't there before. If those specific symptoms are present, professional help is key.
But for many, they just fade.
Many individuals find their more extreme or unusual sexual tastes, developed during heavy porn use, simply dissipate naturally after a few months of quitting and allowing the brain to reset.
And communicating with partners, that must be vital.
Absolutely crucial, especially regarding things like the flatline. Explaining the recovery process can reduce pressure, prevent misunderstandings, and actually strengthen the relationship through honesty.
Like the woman whose boyfriend needed 130 days.
Yes, the anecdote of the 23-year-old woman whose boyfriend took 130 days to recover and how talking about it openly actually brought them closer together. Communication is key.
So the big question then, when do you know you're back to normal?
There's no single fixed schedule. It profoundly depends on the individual's history, brain chemistry, commitment to the reboot.
But there are signs.
Encouraging signs often begin to emerge. Yes, you might find yourself naturally flirting with real potential partners again, experiencing morning wood frequently and spontaneously.
Orgasm feels different.
Being able to orgasm without an intense chaser effect afterwards. And crucially, finding intercourse with a partner feels truly fantastic, deeply satisfying, and connecting again.
Libido normalizes.
Your libido normalizes and stabilizes into a healthy, balanced state. You generally feel more connected, more vital, more genuinely present in your own life.
Like the young man who wanted his brain to only get pleasure from real women.
Exactly. He shared his clear strategy. I really want my brain to realize that the only way I get any sexual pleasure is through real women. It's about a deliberate, conscious rewiring for reality, for genuine human connection.
Okay, so to recap our deep dive today, we've journeyed through how internet pornography acts as a profoundly powerful, supernormal stimulus, hijacking our ancient reward circuitry.
Hijacking is a good word for it.
We've seen how this leads to tangible physical brain changes like desensitization, where pleasure diminishes.
And sensitization where cravings intensify.
Right, all underpinned by those long-lasting molecular changes from Delta Fosby.
The architect.
We've uncovered the widespread, yet often invisible impact of this phenomenon, including that rampant misdiagnosis in the medical community.
A critical point.
And most importantly, we've laid out practical, science-backed steps for recovery through a comprehensive reboot, from digital detox to cultivating genuine social connection.
Giving people concrete tools.
Exactly. Now, the source draws a powerful parallel near the end, comparing this situation to smoking.
Yes, this phenomenon, in many ways, looks like a perfect example of agnotology,
Agnotology.
the cultural production and spread of ignorance, often for commercial or ideological reasons. It's hard now to imagine an entire generation chain-smoked cigarettes without having any real idea how harmful they were.
But they did.
They did. Yet in a strikingly similar parallel, the same thing appears to be happening today with pervasive online pornography use.
It's a potent comparison. Why?
Because, just like with smoking, ethical reasons prevent the kind of direct causation studies we'd normally want. We can't ethically create two groups of kids, expose one to endless internet porn and shield the other just to see what happens neurologically.
Obviously not. So what do you do when faced with that ethical and scientific dilemma?
Well, that's the crucial question the source poses.
And just like with smoking, ethical reasons prevent those definitive causation studies. So what do you do? The book suggests you don't have to wait for experts to reach full unanimous consensus.
Which could take decades, if ever.
Right. If you suspect that your porn use, or that of someone you care about, might be adversely affecting you, conduct your own simple experiment.
Take control.
Yeah. Give it up for a significant period, a few months, and observe what you notice for yourself. Quitting internet porn isn't like trying an untested medical procedure.
No, it's removing something relatively new that humans lived without for millennia.
Exactly. It's simply eliminating a form of entertainment that no one had until recently and which humanity got along perfectly well without.
And that leads to the critical importance of education.
Informing people.
Informing all ages about the symptoms, how the brain learns and rewires itself, the distinct risks of chronic overconsumption, and what's realistically involved in reversing unwanted changes.
Especially for young people.
This includes a crucial understanding of the unique vulnerabilities of the adolescent brain to sexual conditioning and addiction during its most plastic phase.
And the whole good porn versus bad porn debate.
Often misses the crucial scientific point, according to the source. It's not primarily about the content, but the delivery mechanism itself.
The endless novelty.
The endless, on-demand, hyper-stimulating novelty that creates the chief peril. The brain's ancient reward circuitry doesn't care about good or bad labels. It just registers the dopamine spikes and rewires accordingly.
So in the end, this deep dive really shows us that understanding the how and why our brains react to this radical new digital landscape, that's far more important than any moral judgment or preconceived notion.
Understand the mechanism empowers you.
Exactly. And with that scientific knowledge and personal insight, we can make truly informed, conscious choices. Not just for ourselves, but for the well-being and healthy development of future generations.
Knowledge is indeed power. And with that power, individuals can truly steer their own ship, discerning what is truly and authentically them.
And what was just a reaction?
What was merely a temporary, powerful, but ultimately unsatisfying reaction to a radically changed, hyper-stimulating environment.
A powerful thought to end on.
And perhaps the most provocative thought for you, the listener, to carry forward is this. In a world increasingly awash with manufactured novelty and instant gratification, finding deep, lasting satisfaction in the genuine connections, the quiet moments, and the simple, profound pleasures of real life might just be the most revolutionary and fulfilling act of all.